Cortes, and I'm a critic, and welcome back. It is time for week 2 reacting. As week 1 we overreacted, and well, technically we are still in that overreaction phase. Teams that were 1-0 in week 1 were thinking, hell yeah, they lost this weekend. Some teams that were 0-1 and they're thinking they're gonna get their first win. First week was a blunder, it was a mistake, hands up, too crazy, and they lose again, and now they're 0-2. And then there are teams that were 1-0 and thinking, they just got lucky, and the refs, and this, and that, and they come in and they win again. Now the team that we thought were going to be garbage or not really that great are going to regress or are now 2-0, probably top of their division, and now people are paying attention to them to the point where it's like, any minute now they're going to lose. Or they're thinking, any minute now they're going to be really good. But for everyone to know, remember, one of the greatest quarterback busts in NFL history was Ryan Leaf. He won his first 2 games. Think about that. He won his first 2 games as a Charger. And I'm sure after 2 weeks, I don't think they were really thinking that the Chargers were going to go to the Super Bowl. Maybe they were. But there's no Twitter back then. So let's kind of just say it's 2 weeks, let's relax. But the number one thing to focus on is that it's week 2 in a very long season, but we can still have some fun. So let's go down, starting with our first game of the week, Thursday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills goes into Miami and win a game that I was still kind of mixed on the fence, because I thought the question was last time was the Dolphins win their win, or was that Jacksonville loss? And Buffalo, the way they kind of had to fight and claw their way to get past the Cardinals, which the Cardinals probably looked like there was more things to come, I was kind of on the fence about the Bills. But as the game went on, there were some obvious moments where you're like, wow, I did not know the Dolphins were really this bad, or the Bills were really this good. And then Tua got hurt, and I was like, it's done. It's done. The game is done. Tua is done. Hope for his full recovery. Hopefully he'll feel better. But after watching the Bills, I'll admit I was criticizing them for their lack of any offense and secondary help. But in 2 weeks, I guess it really emphasized that Josh Allen is the key for the Buffalo Bills' success. Okay, let's be frank here. Y'all know I'm not really a big Saints supporter, but the Saints went to Dallas and just put the hurting on those Cowboys. Just bam, bam, bam. And even because I was watching my team, the Buccaneers, we'll get to that game later. I was paying attention to the score. We're like, it's 14-3. It's 21. It's 35. Like, oh my God. Either the Cowboys really, really suck, or the Saints are really, really good. Now, there are some Saints fans that are already saying, hey, the Saints have not been as good since the year they won the Super Bowl. And are some of them already thinking about Super Bowl winnings? No. But I guarantee you some of the conversation about this maybe being Dennis Allen's last year, Spencer Rattler coming in to becoming the new the new quarterback for the Saints, I guarantee you that was probably kind of dialed down a little bit. But also, I think kind of put merit to the fact that in 2 weeks, the Saints look good, and maybe Dallas, we're giving them a little bit too much. And I think the NFC East in a whole kind of doesn't look as strong as we may think. And the Saints went on marching into Dallas, and in a weird way, they did what they had to do. Dallas, oh boy, it only gets worse from here in the first quarter of the year. But Saints, they ain't. I told you again about the Buccaneers. So Tampa goes into Detroit in a game where even I, as a diehard Buccaneer fan, was thinking, let's just take this loss and let's move forward. Because I was also thinking that Dallas was going to beat the Saints, and then the Eagles would beat the Falcons, and therefore be like, hey, we're all equal. But that didn't happen. And in a weird way, the Buccaneers, with injuries against us, injuries, no offensive tackle, Aiden Hutchinson really destroyed us. We found a way to win. Now, I can understand the narrative of the Lions had all this and they still lost. Turnovers at the worst happened. Poor clock management. Yes, all that comes into effect. And yes, I can hear the conversation, and all of them are very rightfully so. Yes, that's a sound argument. But at the end of the day, it's execution, execution, execution. And believe it or not, the Lions had a lot more opportunities to find a way to win this, even with all those inconsistencies, especially when the Buccaneers lost Vita Vea. I thought the Lions would become strictly a running team the whole way, but they didn't. Baker Mayfield, so far in his second week in his new contract with the Buccaneers, showed promise. Another offensive player in Chris Godwin became the main focus. The Buccaneer defense showed resilience. A lot of young players, some second-year players and rookies and veterans showed promise. Some of them even I was impressed. But Tampa Bay goes into Detroit. Of not only did they avenge a playoff loss of last year, but the defeat a foe that probably even now after this weekend, they're still saying the Lions are going to the Super Bowl. So after 2 weeks, Tampa's 2-0. Not like it's not been there before. We've done it for 4 straight years. But with the Saints and the Falcons winning, I guess it just feels like Tampa. Let's just take it on. And we play Denver next week, so let's not, just not oversell it, but let's just be, hey, we did what we have to do. On to next week. So I'll be frank, the Green Bay game against the Colts, I was really thinking that the Colts' offensive firepower against the Houston Texans defense was going to definitely be the center focus. So, and with Malik Willis, even I thought that we're going to be strictly like, almost like a 90 to 10%, 9 out of 10 run the ball, which they've proven with Jacobs basically going why he was brought in with over 150 yards. It was still very surprising on just how, the Packers are wounded right now. Indianapolis, you have a chance to take advantage of it, and the scoreboard didn't feel like the game was that far away. But I feel like this is the first game that I can say that Matt LaFleur looked like a competent head coach, because a lot of the time the argument I keep hearing, even I've been campaigning, was that is the quarterback play so great that therefore he doesn't have to screw it up. But this one with Malik Willis, a quarterback that even a lot of people are considering he is not even worth a backup position in most statues, he's coming in and basically he just says, do this, do that, don't oversell it. And honestly, I said before, Green Bay has a very small window of games before Jordan Love gets back that are very winnable with the players they have. Now, some may look more difficult than others, but right now against the Colts, I thought this was a game where Green Bay had a chance to go 0-2 and the Colts getting back in. But like everyone else in the AFC, except for the Texans, everyone else is winless but the Texans. And this is a game I felt like Indianapolis would regret not taking advantage of a weaker and very injured team in their quarterback situation. Green Bay gets the win at home. Green Bay proved that Josh Jacobs' signing was a value asset. And yeah, they move on to next week and keep moving forward. Go Packers. So after watching what Daniels did, the Commanders did against the Buccaneers, and I understand they didn't want Daniels to basically run for his life the whole entire time, and Brian Robinson had over 130 yards rushing, but there was just some small feeling that as the game went on, you kind of feel like, wow, the Giants are still in there, and you can't help but feel like, is Washington being overly cautious because of last week, or the Giants have, got the rust off them? The Giants defense probably showing promise. Malik Neighbors got his first touchdown of his rookie season, which I feel like he'll be the main reason why the Giants do anything. And then it came down to basically the Giants lost 2 field goals. This is the second week in a row we have a team win their opponents by just kicking. The Steelers did it against the Falcons, and Washington did it against the Giants. I am kind of disappointed that Washington were not more offensively, sound. I know they don't want Jaden Daniels to run over the field, but I thought maybe they'll be a little bit more on that fence. And the Giants, once again, you can make the argument this could have been a game that probably could have stole from Washington, but the situation didn't go their way. But at the end, Washington, just like their logo, they get the W, and at least they just say, hey, we are tied for first place with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Who would have thunk it? Giants in last place. Looking like the first overall pick to me. Then again, Carolina might have a answer to that question. But Washington, you get the dub. Jaden Daniels gets his first rookie, win as an NFL player in the second game. Winston did it too. Look how well he did. Don't worry about that. Washington with the win. Okay, so yes, the Jets got the win. Yes, Aaron Rodgers, drive the team. Yes, the Jets running back by committee was very sound. I'm really happy for that. All that cool jazz. But I can't help but feel like the main question for back-to-back with Tennessee is Will Levis is making very let's be polite, boneheaded turnovers in the worst times in 2 back-to-back games. And funny enough, 24-17 for the second week in a row. Now, I'm not going to say, they still had chances. Tennessee still had multiple chances in this game, but for whatever reason, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's really that they're still trying to find their identity. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets, Will Levis was the leading passer with 192, so it wasn't like Rodgers was running it all over the place, and Tony Pollard was the leading rusher with 62. So this was still a very sloppy game on both sides, but I feel like it's the turnover battle and just the more consistency of the Jets that led to the Jets win. Aaron Rodgers got his first win as a Jet, but I'm not going to sit here going, yeah! They played the Patriots, who look very sound in the second week in a row. So, Jets fans, yes, you got to win with Aaron Rodgers. I know you're happy about that, but I kind of feel like very lukewarm about that. But hey, you got the win. Let's take it at that. Jets win. So probably one of the biggest surprise of the weekend is the Minnesota Vikings. Not just they're 2-0, and yes, they beat the 49ers, which just feels like, Saints beat the Cowboys, Bucks beat the Lions, Vikings beat team they supposed to win, losing, except for the Chiefs. Is that Sam Darnold, another player that was basically disregarded, thrives and wins. And Justin Jefferson basically proves that, I don't care who's really quarterback, just throw me the ball and let me do my thing, and I'll prove you why I am worth every single penny. I'm worth. The 97-yard touchdown was a thing of beauty. It was fun. The Vikings defense found a scheme. It's really surprising how good this Viking team looked in back-to-back weeks, when even I was thinking, dude, you're the 4th best team in your own division. I'm not going to say that changed drastically, but I'm saying that they're not going to go quietly into the night. This division just got a little bit more competitive with everybody, including, the Packers and the Lions, of course. So Vikings get a good solid win, 2-0, Sam Darnold. Maybe it was Carolina's fault the entire time. Don't know. Vikings with a win. So, Cleveland had a very hectic week. Not only did they lose to the Cowboys, and then the controversy of either it's Winston or Watson, the WW version of this world. And then Cleveland going against a Jacksonville team that people felt like they had more confidence, and kind of made me feel like, I think Jacksonville lost the game to Miami than Miami winning the Jacksonville. And after the Buffalo game, it kind of made a little more sense. But after watching this game, I can't help but feel like both of you look very, 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 very sloppy. Sloppy Joe. I love me some Sloppy Joe. A little bit of onion, delicious. But this game looked very, very sloppy. Both these quarterbacks were praised and paid highly in their young and early careers. And Jacksonville's 0-2. Cleveland gets the win. And it just feels that, yes, we're 2 weeks in. I know that's the narrative we're going to hear for almost like the next 6 weeks. We're still not even halfway through the season. We're not halfway through the season. Let's all calm down. But Jacksonville, you're winless, and Cleveland, you won. But that win just felt like, yeah, you got the win, but why do I not feel confident moving forward right now? But yeah, you got the win. Congrats, Cleveland. Yay. let's be frank. When I'm doing these videos, there are some teams that I'm going to wear in their hats the week of recapping the week that was that I didn't expect I was going to wear. One of them was the Raiders and Gardner Minshew, and Baltimore is 0-2. Yikes. Now we can overreact and we can panic. I mean, go ahead and panic. I mean, I'm a fan of a 2-0 team, so I have a little bit of arrogance behind my back. But yeah, the Raiders beat Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore lost again, and yeah, in the fashion that it was. Yeah, it's it's hard, but it kind of proves that Pierce got his first win as a head coach. Congrats to him. Raider defense is going to be the main reason for the Raiders' success anywhere this year, but it makes you feel that this is what I was saying. We overhype team that looks good on paper, and then in 2 weeks we overreact and we're pushing the panic button to the point that it doesn't work anymore. But I'm telling you right now, this game feels like a tune-up prime for the Ravens to get back on track, and it didn't work. And Baltimore plays Dallas, which that could be a doom and gloom for both franchises. But Raiders get the win, and honestly, that should be what we're talking about. Raiders win, Pierce gets his first victory, Raider defense, Raider Nation, win. I think I'm going to talk about the theme of this weekend of teams like Seattle and Tampa and Lions and the Vikings all having quarterbacks that basically were given the finger and get out of my office, and now they are thriving years later, mind you, after going through a couple of different teams to get to where they are, and they're succeeding. Sam Darnold's 2-0, Geno Smith is 2-0, Baker Mayfield's 2-0, Jared Goff led the team to the NFC Championship game last year. So there's a lot of quarterbacks that, with things going on now with Carolina, which we'll get to when we talk about Carolina, it just feels that sometimes just because you draft the best player and the need you need, like a quarterback, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And what Geno Smith, Baker, Sam Darnold have proven the first 2 weeks is that it's more than just we need you. It's a fit. And Seattle, yes, had a hard-fought game against New England, which I think like New England is proving that they're not just going to go lay down and die like I thought they might be. They're putting more of a fight. Hell, they could have stolen this win and be 2-0, which would have been like, what? But Seattle comes to the road, gets a good win, and it just shows that, yes, Seattle is not going to just sit down crying, especially when the NFC West, mind you, is looking a little bit, wonky. I mean, there are some teams we haven't talked about yet that we're about to that just feel like, are we sure we believe the obvious winner for this division? I don't think so. But Seattle, the 12th man, you got the win on the road, and that's all that matters. 2-0. Join the 2-0 club. Seahawks with a win. Okay, so Harbaugh has started his campaign with a 2-0 start. That's great. They have played against opponents that I think we can all safely say they were supposed to win. Raiders and Carolina. I mean, I said Carolina was going to be not the worst team in the league. I said that to New England and the Giants, and even though the Giants are winless, I think the Giants will probably get a win. And with the news that Carolina have benched their #1 pick after less than 20 starts, there's the fire. There's the panic button. There is the SOS. I'm sure there are players saying, get me out. And I feel bad for the offensive rookies, especially the receiving core they got, and the running backs are saying, wow, I got drafted to help you, and you're no longer here. But like I said, as much you want to talk about the Chargers, the Panthers have the better storyline. Chargers got the win. We expected to win, and the Chargers just feel like they're still tuned up against very weak opponents. There's no threat to them right now, and the good news is, hopefully does not lead to being overly confident. There you go. In later down the line, but they got a good win against weak opponents, and quite frankly, that's all that matters right now. Beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and then don't worry about the rest. So, Chargers got the win. Congratulations to Harbaugh. are the Pittsburgh Steelers. They play like garbage offensively. The defense is sound. They played against a weak opponent that probably was overcompensating themselves by saying that Bo Nix is the next coming. And boy, Denver has a long dirt road path of destruction and misery for the next few weeks. And Steelers are 2-0. But I don't see anybody saying they're going to the Super Bowl except for those obvious Steeler fans. You guys are 2-0. Honestly, take the win, especially with teams like Baltimore and Cincinnati, who are supposed to be the two teams favored not only to win the division, but to go to the Super Bowl and represent the AFC, are 2 games behind you. So I would say winning by default is not your fault. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are winning because, well, they're winning with limited resources compared to Baltimore and Cincinnati. They won. Denver looks more and more like a question mark, and no, I'm not making a Batman reference. At least that would have been funny to make fun of. Steelers get the win, and defense is sound. How long will it last? I don't know, but at least they got a touchdown this week. But boy, did that look more like a preseason game than an actual preseason game with starters. Many question marks on both sides, offense and defense for both teams. But hey, if you get the win, that's all that matters at the end. Steelers with the win. It only took 1 week, and Marvin Harrison Jr. has already put himself in front of Rookie of the Year conversations. Marvin Harrison has proven that no, he wasn't just overhyped, and no, it wasn't because of the program of Ohio State. He is the real deal. And Kyler Murray finally showcased, man, this is what it's like to have a great wide receiver in his freaking prime. Must be a great feeling. Hell, this one must what it felt like to have Larry Fitzgerald in his prime out of Pittsburgh. How dynamic he was. I've only had a quarterback that worked. And now we have Kyler Murray, who's probably thinking, maybe I should reopen my Instagram account and put more Cardinal stuff, because as of right now, we look just like a dynamic offensive firepower to rival the Rams of the greatest show on turf. Now be known as the greatest show in the desert. Patent that. That'd be my idea first. But Cardinals showcasing, and it really looks more of how strong the Cardinals are, because in back-to-back weeks, they showcase an offensive firepower that we thought maybe was a one-and-done type thing, but also kind of puts a major glare that the Rams are having the worst case, or one of the worst case, of the injured bug. Their 2 best receivers are out for weeks. Stafford already has question mark about his health, I felt, going into the season. And the Rams defense without Aaron Donald is facing the major gap in that loss that the rookies of Verse and Fist have not finished yet. But right now, Cardinals, in my opinion, look more formidable than the Rams or the Niners in their own division. I don't know, Seattle has something to say about that, but so far, a lot of these divisions look more competitive than just a one-sided or a runaway team. So Cardinals in the desert, greatest show. Cardinals with the win. Oh boy, was I so close of having to wear a Bengal hat. Chiefs win again. Yes, you can say it's rigged. Yes, you can say it's scripted. And yes, you can say lots of things conspiracy. The sad thing is, it's hard to say it's conspiracy when the evidence you show that it's rigged, it actually is legit. Yes, he stepped out of bounds. Yes, that was pass interference. Yes, that was a holding call. Yes, Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift. All those are true. So we cannot sit here and say. But I will be wrong by saying I don't feel as threatened like I thought I was with the Chiefs. Granted, I still felt like the Bengals probably will be the only team to beat them. But barely 150 yards passing, 2 interceptions, and now you have Pacheco out for like 6 to 8 weeks, who I thought was looking more as the reason for the Chiefs' success was the rushing attack, and now we're going to be without him. You guys play in Atlanta, and I hate to say it, but I feel like that's a trap. I feel like that might be your first loss. Like, seriously, if you don't take this seriously, that could be a trap game for the Chiefs. And the Falcons will get a major boost of confidence by beating the Chiefs. I could be wrong, but the Chiefs don't look as scary. But that could be wrong. But Chiefs, you got the win. You beat two division foes that are both winless. So I guess number one overall seeded so far, clearer path for you than others. Chiefs with a win. Boy, we were so excited, weren't we? Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud. And it was mainly a field goal defensive game. It was quite boring. Quite boring. I love defenses, and Caleb Williams took a beating with the interceptions and the sacks, and still have not thrown or even ran himself an offensive touchdown in 2 weeks. And like I said last week, we need to calm down about the Caleb Williams hype. But the Bears, say what you want to say. The game was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. And I feel like it's going to be that Bear defense. How quickly can Caleb Williams in the offensive passing attack really get going? I don't know. But those division foes are coming in fast. Those Lion games, those Viking games now, and then of course Green Bay, who owns you until said otherwise. But Texans did what they had to do. They win. They're the only team with a win in their own division. Tennessee, Colts, Jags are winless, so Texans already off to a great head start compared to others. And yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like a lot of games this weekend did not feel like the team that won was like, we won by flexing their muscles. The only team that felt like that was the Cardinals and the Saints. Everyone else, I feel like, you won. But you won, so. But Texans, gotta win. You're 2-0, top of the division, probably top in the conference. So Texans with a win. Boy, am I sure glad I stayed up to watch the rest of that game. Boy, do I have major doubts of the NFC East in itself. Dallas and Philadelphia both probably had one of the most surest confident they were going to win this week. Both at home against two NFC South opponents that felt like, not right now they'll be anything. And just like I said about all the wins that won, the Falcons did win. But early in that game, I felt like, why do we give Kirk Cousins all this money? This team clearly screams run the ball. Honestly, I thought Tyler and Bijan was going to have like almost 250 yards rushing combined. But I know they brought Kirk Cousins in the past, and I feel like those two touchdown drives were definitely reason why you brought him in. But man, did I just feel really like, man, I don't want to blame Barkley. I don't want to blame Barkley because the Eagles defense didn't do anything to help, but are we sure the Eagles are the real thing? Because I know, I'll admit, I praise them. I praise them too. I thought they were the most legit team. Or is it like, wow, without A.J. Brown, is Philadelphia really that, kind of weak? Like, how much power does A.J. Brown give to that offense? Because this is the second time they go into a key matchup and without A.J. Brown, and they look weaker. Did that against the Bucs in the playoffs, and did this against home. But man, I was so ready to put Philadelphia with a win. I mean, the loss pretty much put me at 500, 8-8 record for the weekend. There's a lot of upsets this weekend, and there's only week 2, so we can all calm down over panicking. But Atlanta gets the win, and they needed it. They needed it with Tampa and New Orleans winning this weekend against foe that probably people thought that maybe won, but not both, smacking their basically superior NFC opponents. Atlanta needed this win, and yes, I feel like they could steal from Kansas City if they're not careful, and that's saying a lot. But we'll see if Atlanta can pull up another upset under the bright lights of prime time. And that, folks, is all of week 2. We're overreacting, we're panicking, it's all very exciting. But after week 2, I think we can still say, let's wait. Your team is 2-0, flex, be happy. But, simmer that down. Your team is 0-2. Relax. There's still 14 plus games left to go. Your team is 1-1. Relax. You still have time. Like I said, by week 8, week 10, then we can start panicking one way or the other. But right now, the first 4 weeks have always been a preseason version for me. And that to me should be, we all just take a breath, People are still trying to find out stuff. There's a major injury bug with a lot of star players the first 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. McCaffrey is on IR. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Vita Vea, Antoine Winfield, Pacheco from the Chiefs. There's a lot of injuries already. So we overreact. Yes, we do. But remember, there are still plenty of games left unless you're Carolina. But until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you all very much for watching.